Sometimes you gotta stay on your grind and show 'em that you never look. I don't think small, I think big and move heavyweight. And every step concrete, vision so loud, even silence me. I was built before this day, pick the teams. I came from nothing, but a nerve of belief, and turn late nights into this permanent peace. They still asking how, I just execute plans. And while they watching the wave, I'm controlling the sand. Big energy, room get tense when I enter. I don't need introductions, the presence remember. Pressure never cracked me, it's sharp in my center. I was forced in the dark, and now I glow with no effort. I don't chase no moment, I bend time instead. And every loss paying interest, now I'm multiplying bread. I don't flex for approval, I improve what I need. If they question the value, I don't answer, I live. Big vision, I see past the frame. They playing checkers while I'm rewriting the game. I don't move off hype, I move off truth. That's why they call me harder than your loudest move. I've been quiet with power, that's the deadliest type. When the work's so real that you don't need to recite. They confuse my patience for me losing steam. I was stacking up leverage, building B.I.G. Big dose, no cap in my breath. I don't pay for the win, I prepare for the test. Every scar on my back and got a story attached. Every step I survive, I put momentum on that. They talk legacy, I'm living it now. Any choice I make, got tomorrow around. I don't build bridges, I build whole roads. So I elevate now, everybody knows what. I'm big power, you feel it before I speak. Even doubters go quiet when the truth is clean. I don't rush destiny, I walk it down. And when you solid like this, the whole world adjusts now. Yeah, think big, move big, stay big. This ain't luck, this is discipline. And what? If you still dreaming small, don't blink. Cause I just turned pressure into the B.I.G. And who really wanted with a nigga like what, yeah. I remember eating ramen while pouring no spice. And mama saying, baby, one day we gon' live life twice. Once in the pain, once again when you rise. Ain't gonna tell I saw hunger, God in my eyes. I was broke on the corner, spending dollar pennies with friends. Swore the struggle would last, couldn't swear we're in. But I kept a pen moving, every page was a seed. Every line was survival, every rhyme was my creed. Friends laughed at the dream, man, you chasing the air. While they flex fake chains, I was building with care. No shortcut in my lane, just the grind of the day. If the bag don't come quick, I'll stack the hard way. I seen homies get lost, trade a hoe for the high. Watch them fade into ghosts and watch them mothers just cry. I said, God, why them and not me in the box? He said, I gave you the pen, cause your voice unlocks. So I write till my hand cracked and verses bled from my skin. Every scar in my story was a place to begin. I ain't rap for the flex and I ain't rap for the fame. I was carving out purpose, I was shedding my shame. Now I sit with my lesson with the pen game free. That the man with no roots can't grow into a tree. That the crown made it go, still heavy with time. But the crown made it true, shines eternal in rhyme. So I stand as I am, not a saint, not fraud. Just a child of the dirt when the child with God. And the money don't last if the story still lives. That I gave what I have and I gave all I give. So everybody say real until the truth show cheap. Till the flavor came through, till the talk get deep. I've been stabbing two hands that I help to heal. Now I sleep with the calm and the soul feels still. Yeah, I learned from that love don't mean control. And the crown too cheap if it costs your soul. If they can only come close when the shine turn bright, then you bless them once and then you ghost that night. Look, expensive, can't give that free. If the vibe fell off, that's a fee for me. I've been lied too smooth, been sold that dream. Now I build my peace like a self-made team. Rooting my field, yeah, I bloom on cue. And got dirt in my past, but the growth still true. See, I trust in silence more than the crowd, cause the loudest applause don't mean they're proud. Every face ain't fake, every hand ain't real, so I move by tone, but the pulse I feel. I don't trust what fade, I don't trust what sell, I don't trust that flame that inspired my hell. I don't trust no fame, I don't trust no stage, I just trust my breath when I turn that page. Now I talk to my shadow like we good, right? Cause I don't walk through too many nights, but the calm I found got bought and stole. It's the piece of my chest, so when the lies unfold, if you love me, cool, just mean that twice. Cause the devil wear charm and the truth sound nice. I don't learn that grace, don't beg for a view, so I trust my path and I chosen few. So toast to the lost, to the toast to the learn, to the riches that burn, just teach return. Still the roots, still flame, and still world, still fight. Still the truth, the dark, cause it made my light in the wings.
Purchase your tracks today.
Yeah, my God.
What up? What up? What up? All right, so stream number two. Stream number two. So I wanted to go over this because as much as I thought this would be easy and fast, I'm not saying it wasn't hard, but it definitely wasn't fast. And it's still not completely where I want it to be, but it's at least like done enough where I can release it, but it's gonna be some major updates that I gotta do. As you guys know what Manifest is, it is an AI game that creates other games. Think Roblox, but using artificial intelligence to create any game you would like. We are using some categories. We're better at some than others at the moment, but ideally we're going to be good at every category so you can generate whatever game you want. And then play with players and other people, your friends, etc. in the Manifest Arcade. So, what feature have I been working on? As you guys know, on the last stream, I wanted to make Manifest just like Genie 3, right? I love what they're doing over there at Google, and I was like, you know what, we got to do something similar because that's kind of what we're saying when we're saying Manifest anything, right? So, what do? Photo to world. We need to create something that is photo to world. You ideally put in a photo of an environment that you want your game to be, and then the game generate that exactly. So there was two roads that I had to take for this. Ideally, like I told you guys in the last stream, I wanted to make it simple enough where things are being generated in real time. There was the depth that we had to do within sizing of the map and etc. So a lot of that had to be considered. And yeah, I mean, some of it was good, some of it was bad when we were building it. But I did come up with a good structure now of using this. So just to be transparent, I tried Gaussian splatting. Tried it. Gaussian splatting is good if you have multiple photos or a video. And ideally, I want you guys to be able to do it with one photo, which there isn't anything that currently exists that allows you to do that, other than Genie, I think. And I haven't even used Genie to see if that's true. So if you guys know, tell me, but I'm pretty sure it might be multiple photos, and if it is, great. That's the only other example that I know that, let's say, can do a single photo. So it's been a little complicated to do that because as much as the AI can like see what's going on in a photo using vision with a model, it's still not perfect there. As much as I'm giving it more training and giving it more objects to identify and etc., that's a longer road. So it's going to take me some time to make it perfected on just the vision itself, right? But then the other problem is, okay, let's say you have a forest photo. There's obviously many trees in a photo. Different trees are, I mean, there are different trees, right? You don't have just one type of tree that exists in the world. So to have the AI be able to identify what tree is which, yeah, it can do that, but does it exist in the gaming world? Probably not. So what has to happen? Okay, now there's a 3D or text to 3D or photo to 3D model that has to be inputted in this to now generate that. That sounds all great. But guess what? If you don't have the GPU to handle all of that process, we got a problem. And if you remember, I don't want to do everything on the cloud right now. Ideally, I want this to be local and then ready for self OS and resonation and everything I talked about an hour ago to be inputted into this, so then you guys are getting rewarded as nodes when people are trying to generate games. So we keep it local for now. Once it's ready on the other side, we do a plug and play. But at the moment, it has to all run locally and it has to run well. So can't do too much GPU heavy tasks. It's already a game, so that's already overall itself a hard GPU task, right? But now adding these vision models and this 3D generator as a local model becomes a problem. So I had to think that through too as well. So what did I do? Gaussian splatting is built for objects, not full scenes. So yes, you could take a table and give it that table and it will recreate that table as a 3D object, which is great. But if your photo has many objects or it's a scene of something, meaning you took a picture of a subway, how do we use Gaussian splatting? It doesn't work unless I have many photos to reference from. And then it's kind of itemizing all of those objects and then splatting that as different 3D objects. And if you use anything that uses Gaussian splats, you even see sometimes when you look at different angles of that object, it's distorted a little bit because it didn't know what to do with that side because it couldn't see it on the photo. So that creates another problem, especially for a game where you're running around the map. And now, if I'm using Gaussian splatting, yeah, like the front view of everything's gonna look perfect, but when you run around it, it's gonna look all weird, right? So I can't have that in the game, and it just produced a lot of scattered points without the game, right? Like, as much as the game is smart and very smart at doing this, where it will add collision to all of the different items that it generated, but it would just be missing items. It would be missing colors and textures, and it would miss like specific details of a scene. And I just wanted to be perfect there. And it could be the OCD kicking in, but I think almost a perfectionist. I just want to make sure it works. You know what I mean? So just wasn't playable overall. Like I didn't like the way that Gaussian splatting was doing, so I had to reconstruct it and really make sure it works, so it's not just an illusion of it working. It's actually like creating the world that you wanted to create. And that took some time to even just figure that out and technically build something in my eyes that didn't exist. And even using AI, even trying to vibe code, that doesn't always the scenario, because when you think about vibe coding, AI can only like help what it knows exists. Most of the time, yes, it can create new things, but it does reference a lot. So even though you may be creating something new, it is using a reference of something that already exists and knows that it's making something better than that or something similar to that. And unfortunately for my case, I can't just say, you know how Gaussian splats work? I want it like this. Like it doesn't go into that. So I had to really, really think it through. Um, so what did I do? There's a thing called Midas. Midas depth is basically using a model called Onyx, and there's other things that you can use with it, and that's what's giving the depth of the photo. So if you're looking at a hilly forest or just a non-flat terrain forest or whatever it is in a scene, that is actually creating the hills and everything else, right? So now it will see, okay, I need to make this part of the world hilly here, this is flat over here, and this just has some bumps. So that's that. Then it's the image XY and the world XY. Let me tell you, that part right there, pain in the ass. Because the image XY, depending on the image, sometimes it would work perfectly, sometimes it wouldn't. Especially if I was working with trees, buildings, etc. It just it wanted to make it tall, then it made it quickly and it made it small. So as much as I can give you guys the ability to edit the object, which you will have that ability, but it needed more than that. It needed to be able to like do at least 90% of it for you. And then if you want to change textures, that technically should be the only thing you need to do. So for example, like if you took a picture of New York City and you have the Empire State Building inside that photo, it has to know that that's one of the tallest buildings in the city. So that building should be one of the tallest, right? It shouldn't be they're all the same size. That's important if you're building a game like Spider-Man, for example, and you want to go to the highest point of the map, for example, and now jump down it and have all of these different things going on as you're jumping down, right? So had to think that through, but we got a decent amount of that done. The depth and the height, so that's why I just explained that is something that it took probably 5 hours on that just alone, just trying to make sure that it was creating the collision, creating the correct height, and the depth of that as well. And now the ground has shape. So thank God that's still working collision. I didn't break anything that currently exists. And honestly, I'm gonna take another couple, not a couple weeks. I'll take another week max to test before I even show it fully through. I'll show you some of the new UI we have in there, but I'm not gonna go into the full generations yet because I want to test a little more. I want to just explain to what was going on because I said I was coming back on stream with some updates. So ideally, yeah, like that's what's gonna happen. In the meantime, we do have the Steam review going on. I am gonna release it in the website again, and as these nightly builds come out and they're done, I'll just update the game within that. So whether it's on Steam or whether you have it from the website, again, what I said, the website will have more the nightly builds, and then Steam will have more of the production ready stuff because that's going out to more players than the website would because we're not really marketing the website as much, right? We're kind of relying on marketplaces and other places that showcase AI tools to bring things to the website. And it's not really, it doesn't really matter that much right now because, we can get enough for just a certain amount of places we have it in right now, right? So, of course, like Twitch as well and other platforms. So, we have another thing where segmentation, sky, right? Skies were a big thing, right? Because that has to deal with the camera and the lighting. So now the AI has to know how to shape that camera, especially if you're looking at a horizon. A lot of these don't exist as like objects or scenes in like a fab marketplace. I'm sure I can go into like other 3D marketplaces and find them, but ideally, I'm not trying to fill up the game with a bunch of like objects, 3D scenes, maps, and all these things because it'll make the game super heavy. Like I'd rather you get like a baseline of the game, and if you decide to generate new things within your game, that's fine. Like it will allow you to do that, but I don't want you to have to download a 200 gig game just to get started. That's a problem, right? Because as you start to build, that 200 gigs can turn to 400 gigs, and now what do? Right? If you have a lot of memory, great, but if you don't, you're kind of screwed. So the sky, the trees, buildings, and structures are now detected through another model that I had to build. So it will detect all the things that are in there and it will make sure that it's doing that correctly. And if the game does not have it in there already, it has a two-step process. It will tell you that it can generate it, or if it exists in a marketplace, you can buy it. So that's up to you. And again, that's up to you guys as the players to add more stuff in the marketplace because that is a chance for you to monetize. So if you have different things that don't exist in the game, we're leaving that up to chance for you guys to generate that. Whether it's through the 3D model, and you can generate it through the 3D model, put it in your game, and you can also put it from the game into the marketplace if you want to, or you can, let's say you're not building a game and just want to add to the marketplace, you can do that as well. So ideally, that is your move there. We will add some like generic objects over time, but right now we wanted to have that like high chance of monetization for players because you're helping us, and why not, right? So asset spawning. So asset spawning, as you guys know, already works. That had no problem. We never really had an issue with spawning assets, especially if it already exists in a game. So that it can do. If you have a photo and we have like a matching object, we're using the detection up to 90%. So what that means is if it's 90% the likeness of that object, then it will actually let you use that object because it most likely will look like your photo. But if it doesn't, then it can just generate something that looks exactly like it, and now you have your exact photo. So we're literally like recreating the world in real time based on your photo, right? We're not using Gaussian splats and just pasting your photo inside the game, because that's just not going to be perfect every time. And especially if your game is supposed to be more graphic heavy, you want it to look good. And the only way to make sure it looks good is to kind of make those objects in real time and then mesh them from there, rather than trying to Gaussian splat and mesh from there, because it's going to be distorted in a lot of ways. So we had to avoid that as much as possible. Sky Dome, that's another one. So that was important because just like how the sky is, and like I mentioned with the horizons, you have this problem where if we don't do the sky dome correctly, it won't look like your environment, right? So that's another AI that I had to build on top of that. And of course, there are APIs that exist. A lot of tools. You have what is that? What is that platform called? Blockade Labs, for example, right? Like, I could use Blockade Labs if I wanted to, and like just API to them. But ideally, like right now, like I want to keep it as slim as possible on cost and operation. And the best way to do that is kind of create your own in there, right? So I had to create like this sky dome creator through the object detection, meaning it sees the background of your photo, and that's what's becoming a sky dome, and then everything else is being generated in real time as 3D objects. Then you have the environmental coherence, which that's collision. And like I said, thank God I built that first, because that would have been a painy ass now, because it's so many different ways that collision needs to be put in, especially for like run speeds or just walking or driving. Any of these things that you may be trying to do in a game, it needs that right collision, especially if you have a building. You don't want to just run through the building unless you want your game to do that. You can tell it that, but ideally, most people are going to want these buildings to either be, minimal, at least have collision, and then maximum have interaction where you can open a door, walk in a building, and now it's another map, right? So all these things had to be considered while I was building that. So RTX, right? Going back into the GPU usage. So there's a lot of NVIDIA tools out there, like a lot. Too many, actually. And shout out to NVIDIA, because you guys build like crazy. Not only are you building GPUs, chips, and all this, but you guys got a lot of software, especially for free, which is crazy to me. So I like what you guys are doing, and I really respect it. So tried a lot of those. There's a lot of things, but the problem with their tools is that yes, it'll work for me, but it may not work for you because it's very GPU heavy. So that means now I had to create like a middle point. So didn't use so much NVIDIA tools yet. We may in the future, because then there'll be more computers using more of these GPUs. But as of right now, if you're not a heavy gamer, or like, streamers may have the right equipment for this, or heavy gamers might have the right equipment for this, but ideally I want it to be worth for everybody. So there was a choice here. Do I make it where if you want to create a game with an image, do I make it where it's looking for your GPU, see if it exists in the computer, and if it does, great, it'll allow the feature to go through, or create like a universal mode where it can use both the CPU and GPU, which is what I did. So it's like a universal mode that will detect if you have a GPU or not. If you don't, it's gonna go more on your CPU, which is not a problem. It's not gonna burn your CPU or anything like crazy like that. It just will be slower on the generation. On the GPU side, of course, it'll be a lot faster. A lot of this will get done more seamlessly, and you won't have so much loading times as the game is being played. Because as you keep generating things, the more heavier the game is on a GPU, and that's when you have these rendering issues if you have a CPU, meaning that it will render a little slow, it may lag a little bit because of it needing a little more technology. So using a universal mode at least helps that, because it minimizes things and allows the game to render stuff in real time, meaning if you're walking to one section of the game, the other section doesn't have to show as much, right? That doesn't have to load until you get closer to it, and that's that real-time rendering that I'm talking about. Then there's TensorRT versus Onyx. TensorRT was good, but then that's going into the GPUs a lot heavier. Onyx is a little more CPU safer, so that's kind of where we went down with that way. There's DLSS, which I don't really want to go into too much detail on that. There's neural rendering. Neural rendering is kind of what I just talked about with the real time stuff. So that's basically going into like understanding the object detection, but then rendering it in real time so it's not killing one the GPU or the CPU, even though the GPU can handle the rendering a little more than the CPU. And then there's experimental RTX mode, which I just explained, right? You have a GPU, now you can go into more of the experimental mode, which will allow you to do a little more in the game than the CPU players because of that. So universal mode works on any PC. RTX mode pushes the limit. Think of it like that, right? So universal mode is not gonna be less. It's just RTX mode is just gonna be faster and be able to do a little more when it comes to generations faster overall. Now, what does this unlock? So players can upload vacation photos. So you can literally upload a vacation photo and make that your game. It could be one photo, which is cool. And it's using a couple things like triangle and stuff to do that, which is a newer way of generating things. People in the 3D world may say it's not, but it is to the AI people, right? So yeah, um, players can upload those vacation photos. You could turn real world memories into playable spaces. So any memory you may have, which is gonna be one of the games again that we're gonna generate, at least for me, in Manifest, and I'll do that in real time with you guys later down the road. But you'll be able to turn your real world memories into games in real time by using those photos. Streamers can create custom worlds instantly. So anybody that's streaming right now, if you had Manifest, you'll be able to do that. I will release a development mode, so that will only be in our Discord. So think nightly builds inside the website, which means it's been tested a little bit, not as much. Production grade in Steam, meaning full blown tested, battle tested, and now released. And Discord will hold the development mode, meaning it's not tested as much, probably not at all, and we're kind of testing it with you. So if you want to be a part of that, you'll be able to test the photo stuff right away today if you join our Discord, which should be in the link in my profile. If not, I'll add it, but it should be there. And if it's not there, then it's definitely in the Manifest website and you can find it there. So going back to Genie, Genie creates worlds fast from text. Manifest turns reality into worlds. So that's the difference between us, right? We definitely use text prompts. So we've been there. You've seen that. But now we wanted to create real realities from photos that are actually real. Or maybe even AI generated. Up to you. Doesn't matter. So phase one was the stable depth terrain. So we finished that. We're done with that. Don't got to do too much with the terrain anymore. Asset placement, I'm kind of right in the middle with that, where this is like phase two, where it's placing the assets. It's doing it correctly. I'm just still testing the 3D model a little bit to make sure that it's meshing things correctly. As of right now, it is doing all of that perfectly, but I just got to test it one more week. Again, come to Discord. You'll be able to see that as well. Phase three, RTX experimental. That is done. So I kind of skipped the phase there, but as I wrote my notes, I wrote it as phase three, but I did finish that. And then the full hybrid AI generation is done as well. So I finished all the phases, but again, I am just testing to make sure that it works correctly. Now, I don't know if you guys would like universal mode or if you would like just a RTX mode. I don't think there's technically a difference. I don't think you're going to miss anything between the two. It's just load speeds. But if for some reason you guys don't like the load speeds and you guys complain that it is too slow, because again, I can't test that as much because I have a faster CPU. So I would have to get a cheaper PC just to see how this loading time is, and I will do that. I'll get some VPCs to run it on like a smaller computer to see how long it takes so I can get real good estimations on the load time for each one of these types of photos, especially the more complex the photo may be. And we'll see what that does. But we're trying stuff, and that's basically what we're doing. We're gonna keep trying different things. Once I'm done with this, then I'll go right into the cutscene stuff. We have a lot of the weapon stuff done, so I'll be able to show you that as well. There's game modes that I gotta do. We do have a few game modes in there right now, but I'm looking at like fighting games as one of the next ones, right? So like think Tekken, but like making your world and then like saying this is a Tekken type game, and now you're like having that fight as a Tekken game, or even like more sports. But sports will be last as the last category because it's a lot that incorporated with sports. Not saying it's hard, it's just more. So just gotta make sure that we can go into that because if you think like WWE, for example, this that game has a lot. There's a lot going on in the mechanics of that game, right? May not look like it at all times, or even NBA or Madden or these sports games that are out there. They got a lot going on, even though again they seem basic in some ways, but they're not. So we did discover the right architecture. I do want to show you guys the new UI of how this looks. So I'm gonna switch my screen. I'm gonna log in quick. Turn the sound down. Let me just go to that. All right, so da, da, da. It's so loud for me.
Welcome to Manifest Anything. How can I help you?
So now we have this UI here. So you'll be able to obviously create with text, which is the same UI. I haven't changed that too much. But with the create with image, we have it where your credits up here, and it's about 100 per object that may be in your photo. So meaning 100 coins that it will charge plus a terrain base. So the terrain base by default will be 100 because it literally has to create the collision and understand exactly what's in that photo. And each object in that photo again will be 100 coins. But what's cool is you can, browse and, put a picture from your local computer right into here and it will take that photo. So for example, I could hit this, I can put the forest green in here and it sees my forest green. It sees how big the photo is. It says cost to generate. If I click generate for here, it says 600 coins will be the cost as estimate. So it knows like, okay, I see what's in the photo already. And now from here, plus the terrain base, this is what it's going to cost. So I'm not going to generate yet because it's a little wonky and I want to just make sure it works a little bit more. And I'll leave that for a surprise for the next stream because it's pretty cool. But ideally, I wanted to show you guys the mechanics and explain what was going on because again, I am building in public. So I want to talk about all the nuances that are good. I mean, all the nuances that are bad and the things that I run into and all the things that are good. I'm not trying to just act like everything's good at all times because it ain't. But yeah, so that's where we're at right now, where at least like we have it done enough to show the estimates, identify the objects, create the terrain, and now I'm working on the objects meshing correctly. Because sometimes you may put a photo in and it just doesn't generate that photo at all. Like it just won't. Like it's maybe too much going on in that photo where the reasoning AI or the vision AI of understanding everything in that photo didn't work correctly because it's supposed to be a step-by-step process. So imagine one agent is looking at the photo saying, okay, this is what I see in the photo. Here's my shopping list, right? Think like that. Then when it has a shopping list, it takes that shopping list and sends it to the 3D model and goes, here's everything I need you to create right now. And now the 3D model creates all of those things and it starts to generate it. Then it sends it back to the compiler agent, which is going, okay, I have all of these objects. Where do I place it? So that's where the vision and compiler model now communicate and say, here's where the trees go. Here's where the terrain's supposed to go. In this photo, as you can see, the sun's in the background here. So we need a sun. We need the light to have these shadows over here in the map. We need the camera to be facing over here. So when a photo is fully generated, it shows that exact example. So you could imagine that takes some time. It's a lot of stuff to build all at once, right? This feature is a lot bigger than I thought, but it's not hard because I know AI, thankfully. But if I didn't, I probably would have got stuck right here because it's just a lot going on when it comes to understanding objects in general. Because if I was like just starting, I would have just thought Gaussian splats would be my end all be all and I'll be good. But when you think about it all the way through, Gaussian splats is not going to work for all the examples that I gave before. right? It's not gonna work. If I do Gaussian splash for this photo particularly, the front of the tree is gonna look great, but the back of the tree is gonna look like shit. It's gonna look like very distorted in a way where it like you can't like it's almost like I don't know how to explain it, but it's it's like drifting in a way like it's like looks like someone smudged the tree. You know, it's like if you're walking outside and it's just like a smudged tree for some reason. It just looks weird. So I had to really generate the whole object because at least when the object's generated, it's considering the whole tree, not just the front side or the side of the tree, right? And every photo has its own angles and stuff like that. There is another thing I gotta add, which is character generation, right? Like we can generate characters to a certain extent. Animated characters work very well. The more realistic characters, they work too, but to a certain extent. So if I took your photo and try to use a 3D model to generate it, it may or may not do the best. Meaning like I've seen it take a person and create a whole different type of person, which is not what I asked, right? Like, and that's an issue, especially if you're like looking for likeness and you want it to be the exact replica of that person, or if the person's standing in a photo and you're saying, hey, generate this person and the objects around it, right? So I gotta figure that out, and ideally don't want to release a feature until I have the character working, because that's gonna make a big difference in the vision model. Because the vision model needs to, one, understand there's a person in the photo, two, understand all the features of that person in the photo, three, create all the meshes of that, because now the 3D model would have to see what meshes do I need to add. So the vision needs to see all of that before it even goes to step two. So step one is probably one of the most important pieces of this, because if step one obviously goes wrong, the whole flow is fucked up, right? So I have to make sure that that first step is always seeing everything correctly, and that's my biggest step. And of course, the bigger I make the model, the smarter it will be, but the heavier it is on your computer, and the heavier it is on the runtime on your computer, which is a problem because I don't want it to be crazy. So that's where these thoughts come in of going, okay, how can I really do this? Because I'm not using a cloud. If I was using a cloud, yeah, I can do it, right? When we go to Self OS and we have all the nodes working, even a 3D model, though, might be too big for the phone. Even if I try to quantize these models, it might be too big for the phone. I don't think I can quantize a 3D model. I have not done too much research on that yet. I will do more. There may be a way, but I haven't done it yet. So bear with me on the character stuff. At least it will be perfect if you're on Discord for this object stuff. So you'll be able to do that yourself if you want to see it. Just again, go to Discord, join it, and you'll get the code to download the game. And for character detection, I think max 2 weeks to really figure it out. If I have to push that particular feature to the cloud to make it finish, I will. I just want to avoid it as much as possible because I'd rather use our own systems. But if we really do gotta push to the cloud and make it legit and good, then I might have to do that, because there are gonna be a lot of players, I'm expecting at least, to have a lot of photos with people in them. I'm not gonna be unrealistic and say you're not gonna have that. So if you do, it needs to still be able to do it. I can't like miss a step and go, nah, forget the person, I just generated the scene. And the person may be standing in front of the scene, so it needs to like be able to see around it. So that's a lot, right? It's a lot going on, and a lot of these chat platforms that you use and other 3D models, they're using cloud-based GPUs, so they don't have this issue that I'm talking about, but I'm not. I'm using local. So I have to be smart and savvy here at least to make sure I can do that as quick as possible, because that's another thing. Each step really, in my eyes, only has about 30 seconds. So the vision model has to literally detect everything within 30 seconds, send it to the 3D model, which that's fast for a 3D model, especially if you have a lot of objects. I've seen, as of right now, about 9 objects created and generated within 30 to 45 seconds. So anything more than that is definitely gonna be a little slower and a little more time overall. But again, imagine that 30 seconds and 45 seconds, we're already 75 seconds in. So now that means I only got 15 seconds to compile. So that's another thing where I'm like, okay, is that possible? Because I've seen it do it to a certain extent, but it definitely was longer than 15 seconds. It's probably around a 50-second, almost to a minute realm, and sometimes even 3 minutes. So will people be patient enough if I was to push this all the way to a 5-minute step-by-step process depending on a photo? Maybe. But I know some people aren't. Like the games nowadays, you're never waiting 5 minutes for anything to load. None of them. None of the PS5 games take 5 minutes to load. Like none. So do we really want to be in that realm of you waiting 5 minutes? Not really. But it would be a perfect generation if it did have that 5 minutes. So there has to be some type of happy medium where I can have this happen, right? Where it can actually create the whole scene within maybe 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 3 minutes, let's say, right? And that's the max. And maybe it can do others in a way faster time, but 3 minutes might be our sweet spot when it comes to generating something because it's not too long and I could at least animate it, which I've been working to as well, where instead of you just looking at a loading screen, you're watching everything being populated in real time and potentially, just like how you're talking to a chat and you can hit stop, I can add that feature there too. So if you see something being generated, you can tell it to stop and you want this over here. So maybe like real-time collaboration within those loading times might be my move because it at least keeps you active within that 3 minutes and you're not just sitting at your computer like waiting for it to finish. You know what I mean? Like I would get annoyed at that. Not saying it's not a cool feature because I have a photo to a game is pretty cool and 3 minutes is not that bad. But for a standard, we want to be high standard, right? Like we don't want to be that low standard and we don't want to just be like what it is now, right? Like even when I use a video generation tool, sometimes I'm waiting that 5 minutes for it to generate the video and it's just 1 5-second scene. Like it's kind of long. And I understand why that process is there is because they are using congested GPUs at this point. So it's queuing all of the different actions because of all of their users that they have on their platform, which is great. But as a local game, I shouldn't be anywhere close to that 5 minutes because it should just be your PC doing the hard work and the game knowing how to do the work. You know what I mean? And maybe some cloud based things to speed it up. So that's what I got to figure out in the middle. It's like, what is that sweet spot? Once I'm there, I can't wait to show you guys on the stream because that's going to be probably one of our main features that keeps people coming back and playing the game because they'll be able to like create whatever reality they want, right? And that really sets the tone for the name of Manifest Anything, right? Because now you could literally manifest anything. You take a photo, a video, and boom, you manifested that. Then we'll go into like how these video generation models work. That primarily will be on the cloud because it's going to be too much if I have a video generator and all these other models. I think I'm 7 AI models deep now in this game. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's constant now like maintaining those models, meaning the maintenance of the models, we always have to upgrade them to one, make them better, but to also make them faster or to make them just be able to do more overall, right? So to now Overwatch 7 models is a lot. And then to add the video one, to my opinion, like even if I was to train my own video model, it's way slower in the production time than if I was to just use something like VO, right? So VO might be the move overall where you can create your videos using video but with character placement. So your character is, one of the main characters in your game, and that character is now being generated from whatever scene you're inputting through the game. And now that's probably the only place where it's hooking to the cloud. And like I said, if I could figure it out for these video models to run on the cell phones and be rewarded to nodes, that's going to be a big reward factor for a lot of you guys, because that's what's going to make the game be full, right? Like with gameplay modes and scene generation and world generation, that's cool. But to be able to tell a story is where a good game is going, right? Every good game has a good story. So I want you guys to be able to generate those good stories, but I got to think it all the way through from the real engineering behind it to make sure that, okay, it's going to do that correctly. So here's my next step of streams. My next stream is definitely going to be showing you this photo of the world stuff working. The following stream, we're going to go over, or maybe I will show you a small rendition of these videos being generated, because hopefully I figured it out by then. And if I did, then I'll show you the whole functionality of that, of where it'll be like timelines, and then you can move your gameplay modes where you want them. You can make your interaction of these videos. So if the door opens, for example, just like in Grand Theft Auto, it like goes to the cutscene and now you're watching the cutscene. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm thinking we'll do for the next thing. But for everything else, we pretty much did. We have the vehicles, we have the weapons, we have the fighting, we have all the things that the character technically needs right now for the gameplay modes to exist. And now we just need to be able to tell the story. The menu creator, that I can honestly do in between this stream and that's the next stream. So we'll do that very well as time goes. But it is basic right now. I do want to upgrade that. But it's not needed so much today, because that menu screen is going to just be like obviously the screen where everybody starts the game, and you don't need that yet because we need the marketplace, or the arcade I mean, to be active anyway. So ideally I will do the start and the arcade at the same time. An arcade is easy to cut on. That one is not long. That one's probably 2 hours max, because all the code in there is done. I just gotta literally turn it on. So once I turn it on, it'll start pushing games to the arcade, or at least to me. Then I have to go admin, and that's when these streams will change a little bit, right? Because then it won't be everyday building. It'll just be like a combination of, okay, I'm playing this person's game and I'm also building too, so one stream could be, okay, let's try these next 10 games, and I'll try those games. We'll play them in front of you. You guys will tell me if you like it or if it sucks or whatever. If it's ass, whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't mean they don't make it to the arcade. They just go to the arcade and maybe you don't play it. I don't know. But or maybe it's fun. Maybe it's a fire game and everybody wants to play it, and now you saw it here first. I get to show off the game. I get to play it myself, get excited too, and probably play it too because I like it, right? So that's a cool thing of where Manifest will go. I'm excited for the arcade for sure, because that's where it's gonna really showcase all the different games that could be created through this platform and played in real time. Then once arcades release, we'll go into maybe some of the matchmaking, so we can make a lot of these games online. And if you remember in one of the streams I was talking about matchmaking, it's kind of a little difficult. I'm gonna do some more research today, like over tonight as well, to see like how far can we get to matchmaking by ourselves. All right, now if we can get out far ourselves with matchmaking, then I'll do it, right? Like I'll try to build the matchmaking ourselves. If not, we'll just use the ones that exist. But I'm curious on how much of the matchmaking we can build, because we already have the arcade within our own system. So it could just be as simple as like connecting the player accounts, don't want to say simple because I don't want to make matchmaking sound simple, but it could be easy enough for us to plug and play what we already have. And that's kind of my idea there, because if the arcade is there, then we have the ability for these other things to go towards. So that's the move. But ideally, I do got some steps to the middle, right? Like I have to finish this photo of the world stuff. Then I gotta go to cutscenes, and then when I'm in cutscenes, Self OS is also being released at the same time. So I need to focus on that too. Not trying to spread myself too thin. It's just they kind of work hand in hand, because this is one of the platforms where we're promoting for heavy usage, and then heavy usage means more rewards on the other side, right? Harmony was that at one time. Harmony will still be that too. We just got to figure out, like I said in my last stream, what that flow will be. Maybe Harmony could be also included on like ideas and stuff for like a chat platform, but I don't know. I gotta figure it out. I don't know if chat platform is the full blown reason on why Harmony should exist, because Harmony is also a function, right? It's not just just the platform showing how Harmony can exist. So we'll get into that. And then yeah, we just gotta build all this out, but we're getting very, very close to a dope game. Photo to world is gonna be a dope feature that I know you guys would like. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be quick. Hopefully, like I said, my goal is 3 minute max. We probably will get there faster. We probably will be able to generate the games faster by using these photos. But like I said, the max I'm gonna go up to is 5 minutes. And if I have to be at that 5 minutes, then I will at least let that 5 minutes be interactive and cool to look at while you watch things be animated and generated in real time in its cool pixelated way that eventually turns realistic. Or you want to now just edit something because you saw it generating and go, oh, I don't really like that. Can you do this? And then, of course, got to figure out what that means for us, because, of course, if we charge you 600 coins, we don't want to charge you again every time for mistakes, or we don't want to charge you for something you don't like. So, for the example, you wanted a certain tree, but it did a different tree. Now you want to change it. You want to give it more details. Depending on, like, it's also fault there too, because it could be the vision on our side, or it could be the type of photo you use just wasn't clear enough. So I will add a checks and balance there where you put a photo in. Right now, as you can see, it wasn't there. It just took my photo and it instantly saw like the trees that it saw and said, this is how many objects I'm going to generate. I think there was more than 6 trees, but it is what it is. But yeah, if the photo's clear enough, it should be able to see everything clear. So it shouldn't have an issue. But if you guys put in a bad photo, especially if it's blurry or old, and like you took a picture of a picture, it might not work well because it can't see it all the way through. And honestly, if the photo has metadata, it makes it better, because the original model for Manifest, the one that's literally like doing most of the action, can also read that metadata. So it can see, like, especially if it's generated from GPT, for example, any of these photo generators, they come with metadata. So if you put a prompt to say, create a forest with this and that, that's going to be in the metadata as a prompt. So it'll know, okay, instantly this is a forest. So it won't need the vision as much to understand and identify there. The only thing it will identify is the objects around it, to say, okay, this is what I need to create this forest, because it has this many trees, it has this type of terrain, it has all these things that I need to create to make this forest photo, right? And from there, the 3D model can handle it because it's just taking in the information and generating. So shopping list is the goal. Get the shopping list working as much as possible. We're almost there, but come to Discord. You'll be able to see the game, play it yourself. I love to hear you guys' opinions, because can't do this without you guys. Obviously, we need players, we need people to love it, to hate it, to be in the middle. It is what it is, like, we need to just be able to evolve over time, and the only way to do that is participation of you guys. So I love the fact you guys watch me on stream to even see how this is happening in real time. others may eventually see this on the YouTube. I do have a YouTube series. This will be, I think, episode 12 of that series. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. But the photo world is gonna be real. It's gonna be realistic. Um, hopefully, I can do all types of photos, whether it's realistic or pixelated, meaning like more like game like. So I'm hoping that that's the key. I will have to test that by generating photos using AI, and then see if like it'll take in like a Mario Kart looking photo and then generate that. And then of course if they're like objects of cars, we're not going to have that. So that has to be generated because we only have a certain amount of cars. I think we only have like 20 cars. So if it doesn't have it, especially Mario Kart doesn't have that car, so it would have to regenerate that. Then there's also IP. So that's another thing where it won't stop you from doing it on a local standpoint, but I may have to stop you on the admin side when you try to upload it to the arcade. That's the only thing. Like if you try to create a Mario Kart and it's an exact copy of it, that's gonna get me and you in trouble. You know what I mean? So I can't do it, unfortunately. You can create like a inspired by game, let's say, maybe. I mean that's even in a gray area a little bit. But I think that's the closest we can do is inspired by. I don't think we can go into like the IP of Mario. Now you have Mario in your game unless you have permission. So I will ask you that first. I would want to see documentation on that first. If it's legit and you have IP rights, then of course we can release the game. But if you don't, like if you're Nintendo, we're not going to stop Nintendo from creating their own IP, right? But if you're not affiliated with Nintendo and you're not Nintendo, don't expect your Mario Kart version to be released. So you're gonna have to be weary on that stuff. If you want to just be a local game that you play yourself, that's fine. You could do that. But know that it just won't go to other players. It'll just be a local thing. And even that's kind of weird. So we're gonna have to go with legalities there and see how far that can really go. But ideally, I think as of now, don't hold me to it, but I think as of now, you're safe to do it locally. But I do have to check and make sure and see exactly what that means because I'm pretty sure if you're not like monetizing it or reproducing it in a way that I think you might be safe. But again, this is a whole gray area with this whole AI stuff. So it's new to me as much as it's new to you. So I have to see exactly what that means, but we should be good. In other news with Steam though, like I said, I did have that little issue with the models not being included, but now all the models are included. And what I've learned is if the model's not included in the files, then it won't load up the maps. So yeah, we had a little issue where Steam couldn't load up the maps and they saw most of the game, but not all of that. And that's kind of obviously the main part because you can't play the game without the map, right? So now the model's included. Now they're able to test it fully. Hopefully the testing is quick. They do say 5 to 7 business days, which kind of sucks. So the max out here from them is next Thursday ish, which is when I think the 5th, something like that. So we'll say probably by like the 7th, 8th, we should be released if all goes well. And honestly, by then I'll have the photo to world generation done. So it might be available in Steam the minute it comes out. If not, it'll definitely be on the website and Discord. So if you want to test it out, come to one of those, not website yet, Discord first today, but in a few days, you'll be able to get that on the website as well. And then once it's production ready, I'll ship it over to Steam and then you guys will be able to use that feature. But until then, it will be a nightly build until I'm done testing. And then I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Let me go up my notes real quick. Do. Oh, so another future feature, and I did kind of hint on this, but doing both of text and photo generation, right? And as of right now, it's one or the other, but I will combine them. So you'll be able to explain and put in a photo. The same way if you're making a video right now, like in like Hicksfield, for example, you can put in a photo and say the prompt, and now that's way better for the video generator to generate the model, whether using Kling, VO, C, Dance, Sora, etc. Like it'll know what you're trying to do. The photo is good because I have the vision model, but if you can explain it, it gives the visual model more confidence of what it sees. So it knows like, oh, okay, this is what this person's trying to generate, you know. And what if you upload a photo and say make it apocalyptic? Like you may have a forest, but you may want it to be like, I'm just using this as a reference. I don't want this exact photo to be my world. I just want this reference photo to look like this. So I need to add descriptions in there. So I'll be doing that as well. So you can literally type it through and it'll do it. And the cool thing about this is that when you generate maps, they're your map. So you can put that map in the marketplace, but I gotta be careful with that because it creates an IP issue if it goes the wrong way. So I'll figure it out, but you do own the map. So I am going to try to figure out something that allows you to maybe monetize it or to have it reused in a certain way where it doesn't hurt anybody. The problem is that I don't want to stop anybody either from making generations. So I got to figure out a happy medium, but I would like there to be some type of ownership in it. But it's kind of hard because it's kind of like you having ownership in the video. Yeah, it may not generate that video again, but then when does like reference kick in? Meaning like it's close to yours, but it's not exactly yours. So again, these are like legal questions. I'm not a lawyer, not legal advice. I don't know, but I do gotta figure it out to see like how, what, and what we do, because it would be cool to be able to resell that map you generated, because you may have spent a lot of coins on it, and now you may want to monetize off of it, which does make sense to me, but does it make sense legally? I don't know. So I will figure it out, but I have been thinking about that as I've been creating this system, because I'm like, it would be cool for people to not only just monetize their likeness and stuff like that, but to be able to do other things as well. And yeah, so just to cover ground over what I said, single image depth has its limits, unfortunately, but we're figuring it out. Occluded areas don't exist. We're solving that gradually. And yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to do. You know, I got to just solve it gradually and get it all done. But ideally, most of it is done. I will be done hopefully in the next few days. And then, yeah, we'll have it all tested, ready to ship. And then when Steam is ready, we'll probably have it production grade as well. So until then, always keep being you, keep smiling. I'll be back definitely tomorrow, but a little earlier in the day, maybe like morning time ish, early afternoon, you know, just to knock out some more stuff on this. If not, I'll definitely be back Monday, and I'll be back to show you exactly how everything works. Hopefully you guys join a Discord to see how the game works for you, because I do need to know. I do need to know how like it works on certain PCs. Some PCs may be great, some PCs may be shit, and if it is shit on a PC, I need to know now, because if I don't, it's gonna get shipped, and I can only do so much testing. I don't have 1,000 PCs to test on. I'm not this big company that just can buy a bunch of PCs, right? Like I don't, being real. So the more you test it, the more you tell me it's shit or good, then the more it'll be better overall for everybody. So join that Discord, go on a website, look out for the new builds. When you see early access removed, there is no forum there anymore, then you know that that build is released. And from that point, it won't be early access anymore. It will just be nightly builds. As long as you have the launcher will always get updated, which means that the game will get updated in real time with the launcher. So every time you open a game, it'll open a launcher first, then it'll either say play game, which means you have the most recent version, or if it says update, then that means it's a new build and you need to update the game to the newest thing that we have going on at the time. So Like I said, keep being you, keep doing your thing, keep smiling. I will be back very shortly. I will be able to show you more stuff. I'm excited for that. But in the meantime and in between time, keep doing your thing. All right, peace.